Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of China 101. Today, I want to talk about a topic that is a little bit less, how should I say, depressing. I talk about depressing from a personal standpoint, because for the past few episodes, we spent a lot of time talking about China from a global level, from the perspective of a war, potential war between China and the United States, how China infiltrate the United States and Western government, and something about the national government system of China, etc. We didn't spend a lot of time getting close to the ground, discussing things that average folks care dearly. In China, just like the United States, most people actually don't pay that much attention to politics. But there's one thing that all Chinese people pay tremendous amount of attention to, and that is getting their kids into college. So how do Chinese kids get into college? In China, there's only one way you can get into college, and that is called Gaokao. If you translate that directly into English, it would translate into high exam, which to a certain extent not a bad translation, because an exam that gets you into college is bound to be high level. But the Chinese-style Gaokao is fundamentally different from the SAT, which is what American students usually take to get into college. And in the following, I want to discuss a few differences. The first difference is that the question difficulties are different. What do I mean by that? Well, it depends on where you're from. Some exam takers will have harder questions than other exam takers. For example, Beijing usually have the easiest questions. As a result, they have the highest exam passing percentage at 36.3% in 2019. While some other places like Sichuan will have harder questions and their passing percentage was much lower at 14.7% in 2019. Second, the score is only useful for that year. Unlike the United States, a great majority of Chinese citizens can't take the Gaokao until they're at grade 12. And once they take the exam, it is only valid for that year. And if they passes, this is their one-time passage into college. You can't just take the Gaokao and then go work for a year to make some tuition money and then come back a year later and say that you can go to college. That is not possible. And third, the amount of preparation time. In the United States, SAT classes are not offered at school. Students have to spend their personal free time to take SAT classes outside of campus. But in China, the entire year of grade 12 is spent on preparing for the Gaokao. All of the studying materials for the Gaokao were already done by grade 11, because Gaokao is the most important exam for the entire lifetime of a Chinese person. All schools spend at least 1 year preparing students for this exam. Number 4, different students have different exams. In the United States, the SAT mainly have 3 parts: math, English, and the final essay. But the Gaokao in China is very different. In China, there are 2 types of high school students: science major students and arts major students. These 2 types of students will have different exams when it comes to Gaokao. For example, if you are a science major student, your Gaokao will include biology, physics, and chemistry. If you are an arts major student, your Gaokao will include history, geography, and philosophy. Both types of students will take math exam, but the math for science major students will be harder than for the arts major student. And the Chinese exam will be harder for arts, and the Chinese exam, which is English exams for art students, will be harder for the art student than the Chinese students. But one exception is politics. No matter which major you choose during your high school study year, the difficulty of the politics exam will always be the same. The amount of money, and number 5, the amount of money spent preparing their kids for the amount of time and money that parents spend preparing their kids for Gaokao is absolutely insane. In China, parents are willing to do anything to help their kids get ahead. despite the fact that all schools already spent their entire grade 12 year preparing students for Gaokao. For many, this is not enough. The grade 12 year is generally referred by the Chinese students as the year of hell in China because students get no free time. They stay in school usually until 9 p.m. or even 10 p.m. and they go to school from Monday to Saturday. And on Sunday, most students have tutors or go to private study schools. In 2019, on average, Chinese parents spend over 20 to 30% of their disposable income on kids' education. This is as much as an American person spend on their monthly rent. This is insane. All kinds of practice school, exam prep schools and many more. In 2019, 78% of the Chinese parents made significant life adjustment to help their kids get ahead in school. The following data will overlap with one another. 38% of parents give up their personal hobbies. 28% of parents completely gave up entertainment. 30 parents stopped taking personal vacations at all. And Chinese parents continue this tradition even when they immigrate to other countries, which is why Asian kids usually kick ass when it comes to studying and taking exam at school. And number 6, Gaokao is all that matters. In the US, even you have a high score on SAT, but if all your other homework, quizzes, and assignments got really low score, your overall GPA will be really low, and getting into a renowned college will be impossible. But in China, if you screw up all of the assignments and homework, as long as you manage to score very high during Gaokao, you can get into college no problem. And finally, the sheer number of people that are taking the Gaokao is absolutely ridiculous. In 2019, 10.3 million Chinese students took the Gaokao. To put that into perspective, that is a third of Canadian population. So that is almost 50% more than many of the countries across the world. Many countries don't even have 5 million people. So 10.3 million people participated in Gaokao is insane. And you can say that Gaokao is literally the most participated activity in the entire China. So in conclusion, in China, the road to college is a cutthroat game. Some committed suicide, some go insane, some lost their dignity, but there should be no surprise to anyone. Lives under a dictatorship is a cutthroat game everywhere. Every minute, people are fighting for their survival, for advancing in social ladder, all the way down to getting enough food to eat. The cutthroat nature of Gaokao will never change if China's social political structure remains the same. The way of life of a country's citizens is the product of a country's social political structure. And the only way to liberate these students is to take down the CCP and fundamentally change the social political structure of China. And that is the end of my presentation for today, and I now open for questions.
Hey, Mandarin, I have a question.
Yeah, of course.
So, do you think even if the CCP is taken down, will Gaokao still be existent? Do Chinese people like the Gaokao system, or would they like a better or a different system?
This is a very good question. So for the first part of your question, if CCP is destroyed, will Gaokao go away? The answer is, in a short period of time, no. Because the system of Gaokao is a massive system, and the amount of people participate in this exam is massive. 10.3 million students participated in this Gaokao system in 2019. So to get rid of a massive system like this in a short period of time is just straight up impossible. So I would say that even if CCP is disappeared in a short period of time, Gaokao will remain. But however, to answer to your second question is, do Chinese people love Gaokao? And the answer is yes and no. Then because Gaokao is a, like I said, Gaokao is a really cutthroat game. People, some people when they fail Gaokao, they commit suicide, they go insane, and all of the Chinese students at grade 12 refer to grade 12 as the year of hell, and it's nothing but absolute torture. So that is why in China, a lot of people are against the idea of Gaokao. But currently, there's not a really good system to replace it, and obviously the CCP is in no interest to talk about how to improve Gaokao or even replace this system.
May I have a follow-up question?
Of course.
So, do you think people would embrace the Gaokao system? I mean, wait, to better word this is, do you think it is helpful for the people in the Chinese communist system to embrace the Gaokao system? Does it help them brainwash?
So this is a good question. There is a lot of brainwashing involved in Gaokao because one of the prime example is the subject of politics. No matter you're a science major or arts major student, you have to take the politics exam during Gaokao. And the politics exam is nothing but CCP spew garbage propaganda. So even when you're going through Gaokao, you already have a year of hell, but you still need to do some intensive brainwashing too. But however, I would say that a lot of Chinese people they are sticking with Gaokao because there's no alternative. So I would say that even though at this point Gaokao is a torture, it is still a relatively fair system. Because if you take away Gaokao, well, then what is a subjective measurement to how good a student is, right? It's just like in the United States. The United States kind of use the same program because when you apply for college, you have your SAT score and you have your overall GPA. And your overall GPA and SAT score is a really objective measurement of how good you as a student is, and that is exactly what Gaokao is able to achieve right now. Without Gaokao, you will have some some rich people just bribe the school and then send their kids to the best school, while the poor kids will be forever left out to get into to have the opportunity to get into Beijing or Tsinghua University. So I would say that at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I think the Chinese people don't really like Gaokao, but at the same time, they don't really have an alternative. And it is at this moment a relatively fair objective measurement system of a student.
Okay, I have a question.
Of course.
So Mandarin, you studied in China when you were young, right?
I did.
So when you grow up, you came to the Western, which is I believe it's Canada, right?
Yes.
So you also went school there for
Yes.
period of time.
Yes.
So my question is, compared to the two, let's put the Gaokao on the side, okay? Let's just compare a little bit the two education system, which is the Chinese education system and the Western, which is Canada, where you're familiar with. What is the major difference of the two systems that you have experienced?
Yes. So the main difference is that in the Western system, they are is they don't just emphasize on taking exam, which I mean, this is one of the main advantage of the Western system, is that everything you do counts. You do good on your you do good on your homework, you do good on your quizzes, you do good on your tests. It all goes into that GPA thing, which at the end of the day will help you get into college. And unlike China, if you do bad on the Gaokao, you're pretty much screwed. There's no saving grace. So in the West, I would say the education system is much more forgiving, because your GPA will be your saving grace when you are applying for college, and you have many different opportunities to increase your GPA. For example, when I was in Canada, if you do bad on one of the quizzes, if you do bad on one quiz, you can make up your score by getting a higher score on your next quiz, and which at the end of the day is a very, very forgiving system. Unlike China, what you do on your quizzes, on your homework, doesn't matter, and then at the end you will have this really cutthroat game, the Gaokao, and if you lose, you're fucked. So so yeah. So I would say that the education system is a much more forgiving system in the West, and I agree with that, because education is a thing that we do to better ourselves. Education shouldn't be a tool to select people. Education should be a thing to make people better. Education shouldn't be like, oh, you didn't make it, you are bad, you're a bad person, you're a bad student. We shouldn't, and you should be left out in the society. No, I think education is a process to make your citizens become better men, better women. That should be the ultimate goal of education. But in China, education is a selecting process. It's a process to reward the strong and get rid of the weak. That is I think that is the biggest difference between East and West.
Yes, actually, Stacy just asked another question, but that's actually my question as well, because she asked, does a Gaokao increase the interest for the innovations, which is, based on my experience, I said no. This is the answer for Stacy's question. So do you agree with that? Actually, Gaokao is more. It's not. Well, okay. Based on my experience, that we helped Stacy with some of her homework, and I helped with some friends' kids' homework, and I start realize that the Western system is actually encouraging the kids to think, to imagine, to find more possibilities. So there are lots of open-ended questions, which is there is no yes and no answer or specific number that you can just put there and get a score high. But in China, it's different. The Chinese students, they have to answer exactly what the system want them to answer, which is lots of close-ended question. There is no place for them to imagine, to get more possibilities, etc. So basically, all they need to do is to give them a number or a yes and no, stuff like that. So they're not encouraging you to think more, to find more possibilities. So which is kills the innovations. Yeah. So are you agree with me? Do you have more to add on this question, Mandarin?
Well, yes. So Gaokao has nothing to do with innovation, just like SAT has nothing to do with innovation. Because just because someone scored really low on the SAT doesn't mean this person is not creative. And I would say that exams, any kinds of exams in general, says nothing about a person's creativity, and it's really sad. I mean, I can give you a prime example. When I took the myself, my mom, and my dad, we all took the driver's exam, And on the driver's exam, my mom actually scored the highest. She got 100% on the driver's exam. My dad only got like 90% on the driver's exam. And me myself, I only got 80% on the driver's exam. So I just passed, because you need to get 80% to pass the driver's exam. So out of all three people, I scored the lowest. But however, I turned out to be the best driver. You know, because every time when my family go on road trip, I'm the driver. You know, both my mom and dad, they trust my driving skill. But however, but why is that? I mean, my mom scored like 100% on the driver exam. She should be the best driver. So this is the prime example how scoring high on an exam has nothing to do with a person's creativity and even capability. But unfortunately, at the current stage of human society, we need a kind of a objective measurement system to measure a person, right? We don't have, the world doesn't have enough resources to give every single person enough time to practice, to experience, to examine, blah blah blah, and then find out that, oh, I'm actually the best driver, even though I scored the lowest, right? The world doesn't have enough time and resources to do that. So to answer your question, yes, I absolutely agree. I would say that any exam doesn't show a person's potential creativity. That is why most of the Nobel Prize winner, they don't usually have the highest score in their classes, because creativity has nothing to do with exam, and especially when it comes to math exam, you know, physics exam, chemistry exam, there's no creativity involved, right? 1 + 1 = 2. You can't get 2 + 2 = 4. You cannot get creative with that, right? The acceleration of gravity is the same no matter where you are on this planet. So there's no creativity when you are taking a physics exam or math exam. So that is my answer. Yeah, exam in general has nothing to do with a person's creativity.
Thank you for answering that. And
Yeah.
I don't have any more questions. Simon, do you have more questions to ask?
I'm good, because, you know, at the end of the day, education is just a tool for CCP to control and brainwash their people. So I guess education is the root of everything. That is the first thing that children receive when they're still pure and innocent. They are open to all kind of ideas, and if they inject that kind of ideas or thoughts at a young age, then it's very difficult for them to struggle out of the swamp and try to find the truth anymore. So I guess hopefully when the CCP is done, someone could work on the education and to try to harm less children. That's what I think. It's not only about exam. Exam is just like one kind of the story. And I think the most important is the education route, and also including what the children are studying at their kindergarten, at the first side or at the first moment they learn anything. They are quite open to the world at the very beginning, and so we should work on that moment. Because after that, when they gradually become middle school students, high school students, then exam is just a form. It can't change people. It can't change who they really are unless they are seeking for some help. So that's all I want to say. And also, of course, Gaokao is just a piece of shit. That's what I think. That's all.
All right. Since there's no more questions, thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. We will see you once again at the same time next week. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and click the bell so you know the next time we upload a video. See you guys next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.